how these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the NotBland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And if this is your first time, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl here in the first part of the show for about 20 minutes. And then at about 7:20, we're going to have on Elon Werner, and we're going to talk about the Pro SuperStarShootout. Yes, the kickoff to racing, to drag racing, a very fun thing that they do down there at Bradenton for a test session and making it a race. Very fun. And we learned a lot from a lot of the cars down there. We're going to talk about that. We're going to look ahead to what this season may pan out to be just a little bit, not too much, as we are about 2 weeks away from really getting after it. And Gainesville is right around the corner. And as I always say, as soon as it gets to about February, it's like I blink and it's time to go to Gainesville. So it happens very quickly. Want to thank Everything Nitro and Sports Journey who help us. And, of course, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, which we are powered by. Really appreciate what they're doing and excited about 2025 and what that brings. And as we are talking about that, we're going to bring up the ticker, and in the ticker, the code is still the same. So if you played last year, you will have to put in that code and join the NotBland Show League again. That's just how it works. It would be nice if they would hold everybody who was already in the league from last year, but you have to re-sign up. So the code is down there. If you haven't done it, then please do. It is a fun thing that we do here at the NotBland Show. And I believe last year it was Dave W. who won this thing. And if you're not really sure, you're not really familiar about how we're doing that, well, here's a word from our sponsor to tell you how to do that.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
So that's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be a fun year. I'm looking forward to it. I want to say hi to the people in the building. It's Memphis Lonnie is in the building. My man Kenny Smith is in the building. What's going on, man? Thanks for tuning in. Drag Race Mayhem is here. Exactly. Fly, Eagles, fly. They did a heck of a job. We're going to talk about it here in a bit. Scott, he's in here. What's up, Scott? How you doing? Yeah. On the road victory. Yeah, it's pretty tough there. Pretty tough for if you're a Chiefs fan, right? Look, let's get into it. The bottom line here is this. If you're not familiar with NFC East football, and if you hadn't watched or seen the Eagles play too much this year, there's one thing that was notable about this football team, and is that they have one of the better defenses. They have a lot of Georgia Bulldogs on that squad, and team I root for in college, and those guys are dogs. They had rookies like Cooper DeJean. You had several rookies back there, two at least in the secondary there. The question was going to be, was Kellen Moore going to be able to stick to his guns? Was he going to be able to pull back that urge to be pass happy? And they were able to do that. But I think the most important thing about this whole thing that is it really goes missed is that they really gave Pat Mahomes and this team hell. And what's even worse about it, this was a colossal, absolute, as my guy and my big bro, Lake Lewis would say, this is a back alley ass whooping. That's exactly what they did. They took them out back and they whooped them. It's just, look, I don't know about you guys. Did you see that they only rushed 4 the whole night? That's all they did. Rushed 4. Now, don't get me wrong. My biggest problem with the Kansas City Chiefs is when you watch this tape, and I watched this game about 2 or 3 times, the bottom line is that they didn't change anything. And I don't understand for the life of me, within the first quarter, it was only 7-0. Okay, the defense had done a pretty good job of, and really did a solid job of bottling up Saquon. They were, taking their little hits from Jalen Hurts, who played an excellent ball game. But they're only down 7-0, and they're out there calling plays like they're down 3 scores. They ran the ball 2 times in the first half. You can't run the ball 2 times against this defense in the first half, unless your name is Jaden Daniels. and even them, they have to run the football. There has to be some form of run. And Pat wasn't doing it. They were killing him. It was a meeting at the quarterback. They made it quite easy because, let's face it, if I know a team is going to be passing the ball and they're passing it every down, well, they weren't even giving hard counts. They were pretty much going on the same snap count. So those guys are just like a track meet. When the gun fires, they're just running to the finish line. And the finish line is a meeting at the quarterback. And they did that on a regular basis. They dominated them. And they had no answers. That is the puzzling thing, that they had no answers. But we all can go back to the regular season, and it was talked about by many media members, many talking heads, about how the Kansas City Chiefs were barely skating by. And the only reason why they got the pass is because they're 2-time back-to-back champion. And rightfully so, they get that pass. They've done it many ways. They've won many ways. I also get the feeling coming into this game that they felt the same way, that they're the Kansas City Chiefs. And there's no way they're coming in here. And this Eagles football team is going to come in here and beat us. And you could see the looks on their faces. When guys get down and things get out of whack, you'll have a guy like A.J. Brown. He's usually rallying the troops. He's usually yakking. He's saying something, especially if they're down. You can go and look at any defensive player, especially secondary, is going to have something to say. Those guys were mute over there. They had looked like they had their hearts taken out and stomped on. They knew it was over after they went 3 and out coming out of the half. And I tell you what, that bomb that was thrown for that touchdown in that second half was the dagger. And I'm all about running up the score because I'm like Bill Belichick. If you don't want me to score, then you stop me. But I thought Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore understood what had to happen, and they decided to go for the kill shot. And I respect that 100%, because in a game like that, with that type of football team that can come back and get you, you want to make sure you put them away. You want to make sure you leave them for dead. And they darn sure left them for dead. Drag Race Mayhem says, I don't think Kellen Moore has been that impressive all year. This is the only game I feel he was impressive, only because they shut down Barkley. Absolutely. This is the game that that I feel like he did the most as a offensive coordinator. Because I tell you, right at the half, I was talking with a friend of mine who's a Chiefs fan, and I was like, look, my concern with the Eagles is the second half, because they like to chirp. They play bully ball, but they also, when they get up like this, they get a little bit of cockiness, and they get lazy in the second half of games. And we can go back to the game at Northwest Stadium when Jalen put 30 on them and beat them in the last seconds. They let their guard down. They thought this team was just going to lay down and go to sleep. And they didn't. And they came out in the second half and they continued to put their foot on the necks of the Kansas City Chiefs. And the game plan that Kellen Moore had was superb. And utilizing Jalen Hurts in the ability of running downhill. Because we saw, and I said it last week when they beat the Commanders in the NFC Championship game 2 weeks ago, that there's no east-west running with Jalen Hurts right now. He doesn't have it. And they did a good job at times forcing him that way, and wasn't really that effective. He did have a really nice throw out of that, though. A really nice throw downfield. A.J. Brown, really good stuff. Even with Smith, good stuff there with Devontae Smith, good stuff. But that being able to filter in the run and him being effective in that, I think really changed everything for them. And you got to feel sorry for the Kansas City Chiefs defense. They did all they could. The offense helped them none. And sadly, which is very odd for a Andy Reid coach football team, that this team had no answers at all. None. Just wild. But they dominated them. And this is a special one for Philadelphia Eagles fans, I believe. This was a dominant performance. It also makes a statement to the league. Me and other colleagues who cover the Commanders have said over and over again that the road to the NFC Championship game, and I think you can say now, the road to the Super Bowl goes through Philly. It has for the last couple of years, to be honest. And I said that this year, that Philly was the cream of the crop in the NFC East. And they really could have been that way. It could have been talked about as the cream of the crop in the NFC, but you have to factor in some things with Kellen Moore and mental lapses in that department. Vic Fangio, everywhere he's been, his defenses have been just absolute dominant. And he's done it with talented defenses, and he's done it with less than talented defenses. But this defense is stout. It's young. They might lose a few pieces, but most of it's going to be intact. So other teams around the league, I think you're going to see Washington do and get both of their sides of the trenches shored up, because at the end of the day, you're going to need it to compete against this Philadelphia Eagles football team, especially if you're an offensive team that offensive line lacks talent. They will find the deficiencies, and if your quarterback is not mobile, they will shut you down. They will try to make you one-dimensional in that, and most of the time they are pretty successful when they put their minds to it, and it's a one-band, one-sound type deal, and they're all focused on one particular goal. I want to address the fact that, too, I think we can stop talking about the refs favoring Kansas City. That was put to bed. I know people didn't like the first call against A.J. Brown, but if you've been watching A.J. Brown all year like I have, A.J. Brown's been getting away with that pretty much all year. Marshawn Lattimore is sitting on his couch watching the Super Bowl there, wondering where his call was with the face mask deal, with the offensive pass interference when A.J. Brown pretty much has his pads in his hands and pulling him down. He's wondering where his call was. And before anybody goes running to Twitter, like I had the other day, I'm not saying they would have won that game. I'm saying he's asking where his call was. And that's legitimate. So, refs weren't a factor. I don't see it being a factor. Look, dude, if they get Myles Garrett, people just might as well just pack it up. If you don't have an offensive line to combat, you're done. And if you don't have a quarterback that can get out of his own way and move away and get out of his own shadow, you're done. Would he do so? Maybe. I think it's going to come with an extensive price, though. That's my problem with Myles Garrett. He's going to come with a price tag. And it's going to require giving up some draft picks. And it's not going to be weak draft capital. I'm sure they're going to ask a ton. And that's one thing that Howie does not do. That's why this team has been as successful as it has been over the years. Even when they weren't, quote unquote, that good, they were still good. They draft well. They use free agency well. I don't see them drafting or taking away or throwing away draft capital to get this guy, because they have the talent already and they have the depth. No need to go breaking the bank and overdoing it and getting away from what has worked and allowed this Philadelphia Eagles team to have sustained success and be in contention every year. Blake says, I watched the Super Bowl with my parents. We watched the third, fourth quarter like you, Dujane. My Super Bowl pick did not pan out. Exactly. Just didn't. I didn't see it being this bad, Blake. I didn't. I really didn't. Let's see. I'm trying to read this. It says, let's be real. For most of the year, anyone can run the Eagles offense for the first half of the year. Give the ball to Saquon Barkley pretty much. Yeah. And look, I said it all year. A lot of teams, they got away with murder for most of the year, especially in the first half of the year, because they played teams like everybody else in the NFC East that were less than efficient, could not get out of their own way, did not take advantage of the opportunities that they did have, because the Eagles were giving folks opportunities. But then by the time you get to the fourth quarter and they've been running Saquon Barkley and he ain't really been doing a whole lot, but he's getting 5, he's getting 6. You might be getting them out every now and then after they put together a couple play drive, but that wears on you. Then your offense isn't scoring any points, so you're out there the whole entire time. And the game is close until they get to the fourth quarter. And guess what they do? They turn around and hand it to Saquon, and he breaks 60-yard runs after 60-yard runs. And the next thing you know, what was a 3 to 7 point ball game now turns into a 20-point ball game, and it's over. They were doing that to teams a lot during the year. They really were. And it worked. Why get away from it? Especially when you have a defense that can hold it down. Blake says, my parents and I also caught the end of the second quarter. Yeah, I mean, it was just dominant, man. Just dominant. I thought, Brady had to go be petty. I text my father-in-law right afterwards. It was like, why did he have to go bring up the 28-3 deal? Why? Falcons fans are still living that. Like, why? Why did you have to go there? But he's right. I mean, I didn't think that Kansas City was out of it with 24 points on the board. I didn't. Not the way this team has the ability to make adjustments and come out and make plays, and they didn't make any adjustments. And that's not exaggerating. I've watched this game 3 times. They did not make any adjustments. The same junk they were running in the first half, they were running in the second half. I don't know why they insisted on dropping Pat Mahomes back 7 steps when Tony and others were having an absolute struggle. They were on the struggle bus trying to block these guys. I don't know. It baffles me. Really does. Memphis Lonnie says this may or may not take up the rest of the show with your answer, though. Thoughts on the halftime show? Me personally, I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan. I know probably most of that show went over people's heads. I've heard people talk about political stance and those types of things as far as the halftime show. And I say he ain't the only one. Okay. He is not the only one. And those ones that were out there, nobody complained and nobody said anything. And maybe the younger crowd did, but I didn't see a lot of these older people that were complaining about this, complaining about the geriatric nursing home folks that they brought out that couldn't sing and could barely hold a note and were basically relic to being, play at your local bar type band. Hadn't seen them in forever, and you brought them out there, and everybody was clapping and happy to see them out there, and they weren't that good. I thought it was a pretty decent show. My favorite part of the show, though, is how he continued to jab Drake, who he has a problem with. They have a little bit of a beef, and I'm undercutting that. It's a pretty big beef. So I thought it was good. I know some folks talked about that they, thought the halftime show should be something that they can dance to, but we've had some halftime shows that you couldn't really dance to. So, I think it's, if you know the guy and you listen to his music, you like it. If you don't know anything about hip hop and how, it was basically a poetry show is what he put out there. It was pretty impressive if you understand the different metaphorical stuff that he was putting out there. And there's tons of TikTok videos and stuff explaining that, but it's pretty cool how he did that. You're on either side of the fence. So I'm not poo-pooing on people who don't like it, because not everybody enjoys rap and hip hop. Not everybody does. So you're not gonna be able to please everybody, but I thought he did a good job with what he had, because I know a lot of people don't like his voice, and it is. I even for myself, I have to be in a mood to listen to him. I like him a lot, but I have to be in a mood to listen to him. Even my buddy says the same thing. He has to be in a mood to listen to him. So, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Let me reach out to Elon. Oh, there he is. He's right there. So, yes, it was good stuff. But it's time for some drag racing. So before we do that, of course, you know how we do it. We're always make sure we take a break before we bring our guest in. We're going to have Elon Werner in, and it's drag racing time, baby. Football is over. It's time to go racing. And man, I am looking forward to having Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall back. And man, we'll talk about all of that with Elon right after the break. It is the owner, founder of Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. He's behind the Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall. It is my guy, Elon Werner. How's it going, bud? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I don't know why. He'll come back. Yeah, I appreciate it, Kenny. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the draft, by the way. So, but anyway, as we wait for Elon, this was really good stuff at the Pro Superstar Shootout. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch or anything like that. It was on Flow. I know others were putting out different things. Let's see if we got them. Got you?
All right, you got me now.
Awesome.
Okay, so I don't know when I came in. Well, first of all, I have to apologize because for whatever reason I hit the Google Meet the first time that I set up as my own personal reminder to do the show and drop the StreamYard link into the description. So then when I realized what I was doing, I mean, I'm old, Dujane. Technology, come on.
It's all good.
I had an amazing Pro Superstar Shootout.
Yeah.
So I'm just now kind of feeling like I'm back in the land of the living.
Yeah, you were doing everything down there. Super busy. What a show, though.
Yeah.
We learned a lot. And if this whole session here with this group here says anything, every single class, we don't know about Pro Stock Motorcycle yet, but every single class that was there is going to be uber tight.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing that was great about the whole weekend was how well everybody worked together, from the competitor side to the pro racing organization to Natalie Torrance and her company doing social media. We were lucky to be able to help out with the PR stuff. But even like Raleigh and Nettie and all the behind the scenes people, that made that event so great. And it was a little different this year than the first year. But I think it's better in so many ways moving forward, because now, you know, again, you saw world record, you saw history this weekend.
Yeah.
First year you saw first to 340. This year you saw the quickest run in funny car history from Austin Prock.
Insane.
I mean, and side-by-side racing. And I think one element that we saw was racers getting the chance to be racers. And when on Saturday, Tony Stewart's like, hey, I'd like to run side-by-side with Matt Hagan. Okay.
That's pretty cool.
We can do that. I think you'll see more of that in future events.
Yeah.
As far as, I mean, Pro can do whatever the heck they want at this race.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think they'll, you know, it was packed. You know, that facility is a great size for an event like this. When we pulled up on Saturday morning a little bit before 8 o'clock, and there were about 200 people waiting in line to come through the gate.
Amazing.
And to me, I love drag racing. Don't get me wrong. Eliminations didn't start until 12:30. It's 8 o'clock. Thing was going to go until about 7 o'clock. Being there at 8 o'clock is probably not my cup of tea. And I'm like, what do these guys think this is? The rope drop at Disney World? But for a lot of people, it was. They didn't want to miss one single second. And I love them for that. And they got a great show.
Yeah.
So it was really, really cool to see it come off again, smoother, lots of fans, great sponsor activation. And I'll tell you what, that American Rebel band that Andy Ross has got, they will rock the house. It was really pretty cool Saturday night after the race to see the winner there on stage, drinking an American Rebel beer, yucking it up with Courtney Enders. I mean, it was all in all a really, really successful event. Now, you know, we can really kind of focus on the Gator Nationals.
Yeah. It's going to be fun, the Gator Nationals. This was great kickoff. You know, you see people like Corey Reed.
Yeah.
I felt he had the best car on the premises. And the light was slow.
Well, they were
I'm saying the light was slow.
There were some long. I was lucky enough to be at the top end throughout the day when we were like doing the chip draw after the first round of eliminations for everybody, and then after the second round, a lot of guys got out of the car just saying, "Hey, man, that light was long." And it was, you know, I rarely go to the top end, but it was really cool to kind of be up there and see those guys, especially how the chip draw kind of turned out with. Now, I was the one in charge of the chip draw. So you let PR be in charge of the chip draw, you're going to get first round matchups like Austin Prock versus Bob Tasca.
Yeah, that was
versus
awesome.
And when that started happening, like all those racers were like, "What are you doing, man?" And when we got, the Quadras had to race each other. And then in the second round, Quadra versus Quadra. But just to get a final in Top Fuel of Sean Reed versus Josh Hart was amazing. Was just showed, again, just like you said, it's going to be tight out there. And to see Sean Reed get his first win, I think that was a learning curve for Corey Reed in the final round. You got to kind of go through a final. And he's been to finals before, but, big money, big pressure, that's just a part of the learning curve. So
right.
He's going to be, I think the KB Titan Racing versus Elite is going to be a story in itself. I think Funny Car is going to be awesome with, Ron Capps kind of felt a little bit like Rocky IV.
Yeah.
When he punched him out and was like, hey, man, he's not a machine. He's a man. Proc can be beaten. So he was fired up at the top end. That level of emotion was, he got out at the top end and he wasn't sure if he won or not. And when
love that.
He won, you'd have thought he won the U.S. Nationals or another world championship. That's
big. What the NHRA has got to bring back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you PR people need to not hand slips. They need to be handed when they get out of the car.
Correct.
And nobody on the starting line. What they need to do is you got a certain amount of seconds before the headset cuts out.
Yep.
And the headset is dead until the car stops. Like nobody telling anybody anything, because if you get that back and you talk about wanting to elevate and wanting to push the sport forward, that's what NASCAR and these other sports don't do. That's how you get raw emotion.
Correct.
That's how you get a natural reaction from a driver. Go back and watch all the old stuff that my guy Dave W always puts out in streams there. You get raw emotion. It was just great television. The girls didn't have to do a whole bunch of work on the top end to talk to these people because it was from the heart. So got to get back to that.
Just poured out of them. And that's the double-edged sword of live TV is you really see it in a lot of sports, because even like after the Super Bowl, you get to Jalen Hurts and he's been able to process winning for 10 minutes. So we're trying to find that balance. And I think, Fox is aware of it. It's something they constantly try to do, but it was really cool to be up there. And also the announcing team that Flow Racing had with Tommy Johnson Jr. at the top end and Mike Dunn and Jamie Howe in the booth were fantastic. It was great to see, Mike Dunn and hear him talking about the races, but just all in all, it was it had a really cool first day of school feel to it. Seeing everybody I think there'll be some new paint schemes. Capps' new paint scheme in person.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Looked amazing. Josh Hart will have a new paint scheme for R&L Carriers this year. But just, the level of competition is only going to get better at every corner. When, I was talking to the KB Titan guys before the final qualifying session with Greg and Dallas and Corey, and they were like, really any five of their cars could run to number one. And they really thought that it would be like a 50, 51 or 50 would do it. And then Corey Reed went out there and ran that monster number. And then Greg was, Dallas was right behind him. But, Corey Reed's coming into his own. He's having a good time driving that car. And I'll tell you, Matt Latino impressed me too. He's a cool dude, So, and then you look over that elite team, it is, the Quadras are all getting better. Jeg's over there. Greg Stanfield's going rounds. Greg Stanfield beat his kid.
Yeah. Yeah. That was crazy.
That was wild. And, guys just hopping in cars and stuff. And it was really fun. I'm really glad so many fans got to experience it, but it'll really get serious at the Gator Nationals like it always does. People, they were testing this week, and guys are going to continue to test. But I think at the Gators, we're going to see some really, really good racing, tight racing, and it just get your tickets now kind of deal.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, man, Blake, you got to check that out. And you asked me about my picks for 2025 as far as champion. It's early, but we'll do the early champion picks. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to go in Top Fuel. I'm going to go with Justin Ashley. I want to go with Brittany Force, though. But a reason why I'm going with Justin, because he's got to close the deal. He's got to finish the story. He's been there. He's been at the right at the cusp of making it happen. He's been to WrestleMania and he's lost twice. He has to finish the story, and he will do that this year. I've got J.R. Todd winning the championship. Dickie Venables comes over there, gets that man right. And that's taking nothing away from Matt Hagan, because that car ran this past weekend like Dickie never left. But I'm taking J.R. Todd and Funny Car. In Pro Stock, I'm going Dallas Glenn all the way. It's his time now, and he's going to seize that moment. That's the thing. He's not going to leave it to any doubt this year. He's going to seize the moment. He will step on the necks of those that he comes up against, especially in the countdown. And with this whole champion in the regular season, you're going to see a whole another level of competition. Pro Stock Motorcycle, I'm going with Matt Smith. It's revenge tour time.
Yeah.
Revenge tour time.
And you touched on something that has me super excited. It's something I talked about for a while, is recognizing regular season champions.
Yes.
I think that's important. I think, that gives value to those first 18 races or first 14 races. But I think my next goal, as I have all my little side projects that not that I have anything to do with anything, but I would like to see the regular season champions be named after significant racers.
Yes.
Agreed. Where when you win the AFC championship, you get the Lamar Hunt trophy.
Yep.
When the NFC, it's the Paul.
Paul. See, now you said it. Now the last name is on my tongue.
Is it Brian?
It might be, but I feel like it's something else.
Or Hallis, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
George Hallis or whatever.
Yeah, NBA, they named like the Larry Bird or Magic Jordan or Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson. I think my vote would be Top Fuel would be the Don Garlits Award.
Absolutely.
Champion. I honestly think the Funny Car should be John Force. But he's still current. So then my default would be Don Prudhomme.
Most definitely. Yeah, I can't go wrong with either one of those.
My Pro Stock would be Bob Glidden. And then my Pro Stock motorcycle would be most likely Dave Schultz.
See, that would be my pick too.
So
I don't think you can get away from that one.
That to me is, the weird one is Funny Car. But, I think, they're Prudhomme, God dang, you could call it the Prudhomme Force Award and just
you could.
But I'm just super excited to recognize the regular season champions, because it gives the team something to talk about, to strive for, helps them on the sponsor front. But, hey, I won the regular season, and then I didn't do so great in the playoffs. So many teams. Kansas City Chiefs won the AFC. They didn't win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Still solid year.
Yeah, definitely a solid year. Even though you don't.
It'll be interesting in the countdown to have a 4-wide race this year.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be very interesting.
A lot of hot sports opinions on that. The countdown is wild enough, but the scenario of a competitor in the first round finishing first, let's just say, for example, in Top Fuel, Josh Hart finishes first in a quad with Justin Ashley.
Yeah.
Just second. Then in the second quad, he does it again. And then the final quad, Justin Ashley gets to the finish line first, and maybe Josh Hart finishes third and gets semifinal points. I can see him being justifiably ticked off of, like, I beat these MFers twice already today.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that, so that'll be, I think that will make that race kind of chippy. I think that because that's a weird deal, because guys get confused. Some of them get confused. Some of them play the game.
Yeah.
Championship points on the line. It's going to be fun. And so, but it's great. I'm so excited the season started is the main thing.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, this regular season champ thing. See, we were having an NBA problem where guys about mid-season or start doing their load management, and we're gonna test this and test that because it's no big deal. We're kind of solidified the top 5, right. So let's go ahead and we're gonna change up the whole motor combination and see what we can get out of it. Maybe if we get something out of it, that'll be something we'll throw in at the countdown. Or we don't. Now, there ain't gonna be no playing around. If you want to test, then go test on your own time. Don't come here and test.
I think
you want that money.
It's significant money for winning the regular season, so I think that's going to be cool. And I think having guys like turnaround seasons, Josh Hart, Sean Reed.
Yeah,
we'll see what the Torrances can do. We'll see what Brittany Force does. I mean, she was getting after it at the end of the season. She got after it in Bradenton.
Yeah, they picked up right where they left off at the end of the season.
They did.
I like it.
It's going to be wild, and I'm super excited. Bracket Bonanza will be back for Gator Nationals, and I want to thank everybody that reached out about, hey, are you going to do Drag Race Bracket Bonanza for the Bradenton race? We would have loved to, but just with that chip draw, kind of makes it a little quirky.
It does.
But we're going to have Summit's going to be involved. They were involved last year. They're stepping up a little bit this year.
Awesome.
Peak was involved last year. They're stepping up a little bit this year. And we've got some other exciting announcements we're going to make in the coming weeks. And it's I think the experience will be a lot more fun, or be the similar. But we're going to have, maybe a little bit better prizes and just keep it rolling and just have fun. I mean, that's the whole thing that I love about Bracket Bonanza is we're going to get more people playing and more opportunities to win. And just really, we filmed some, Abby on our social media team filmed some really cool videos with drivers kind of leaning into brackets in March.
Yeah.
What that means to the world. So there'll be some really funny videos with that and a really cool prize for fans to get the season started. But it's Bracket Bonanza will be back stronger than ever. And I'm excited. I appreciate the support from you and everyone that kind of has asked about it and kind of promoting it. But we'll get sign up anytime, but we'll be ready to go for the Gator Nationals for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been too long. And we love the support and thank you for the support of the show. It's a big front for us here at the NotBland Show is Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. And, gotten some people that are football folks that are sticking ball sports getting involved. So I'm really excited about what this year brings for the brand and for the brand being associated with us. I'm super excited for 2025. And yes, social media team does an excellent job. And talking about that, Buddy Hall had great first season.
Yep.
What are we looking at for the up and coming season of 2025?
I think you'll see he'll have a new car. I don't know if it'll be ready for the Gator Nationals, but it will be ready for the early part of the season. And that is funny, Lonnie.
That's good.
But I expect that he will come out swinging. That Jim Dunn Racing team, they made an investment in some, more parts. They'll be even better. I think. I really do think you're going to see Buddy Hull in a winner's circle this year.
I do too.
I just think that they're working that hard. They're putting the time in. And then he'll also have back half. He'll have Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hull TV show. We've committed to returning to do 10 more episodes of that. So we'll probably have a good mix of, a handful of legends and a handful of current guys. The show went really well. We got some final numbers back from the NHRA, and it was wildly popular. So we're excited about that. And you can catch that on YouTube. If you didn't see any of the first 10 episodes, you can just go to YouTube and search Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall and see all the episodes. They're pretty much evergreen. But I think Buddy, we talked actually yesterday, and he's really excited to get back in the car. He's wrapping up some business stuff, and then he'll be full bore back for season 2 behind the wheel of the funny car.
Yeah. He's excited. I call Buddy a friend because I talked to him, outside of drag racing. And I really do feel like that team is on the cusp of taking the next step. Dealing with the same things that the Richard camp was dealing with, the new parts and pieces. I'm hoping that the Richards camp gets off to a better start. They had their moments at Bradenton as well. It's going to make for a very tough field of funny cars there. You talk about Chad Green and his whole new team now, what they're bringing to the table. You see Bobby Bodie being in, that Del Worsham car, and that thing was running absolutely phenomenal. I don't see how you can't not try to race this season here if they've got the funding to be able to do so.
Right.
It's a lot of good stuff and a lot of good storylines coming in to this 2025 NHRA season. It is exciting times here for drag racing fans.
And I think even we've just barely touched on Pro Stock Motorcycle, but that class has so many interesting storylines too, and so many rising stars from Richard Gadsden to the guys that have historically been at the top, battling it out with the Vance and Hines versus Matt Smith Racing. But I still think there's so much room in that class for. I saw Chase Van Zandt at the Pro Superstar Shootout, and he looks fit as ever. He's ready to go. So I think that class, will see some upsets. I think people are going to maybe catch up to Gage Herrera, but I mean, again, those guys have been working all off season 2, so we'll just have to see. But I don't know that I really feel comfortable. I know you picked your championship. I don't really even feel comfortable this early. I really almost want to pick after Gainesville, and I know that's cheating, but I just want to see how everybody looks before I really go out on a limb, because I just think – but the thing is, it may not make it any easier.
Right.
Because you could get 8 – I really think when you get to this, the semifinal round and there's still eight races in there, it's going to be anybody's race.
Yeah, I really do. It's just the cars are just so much better. And like I said, there's no huckleberries anymore. Even the huckleberries are not huckleberries. They will take you out if you decide that you're going to roll in here and think you're going to roll your camp in, and because you're who you are, you're going to win. That ain't it anymore.
Yeah, and you look at even part-time guys like Joe Morrison, Chris King, TJ, Jacob Potner is going to be making more appearances. These are guys, young guys, that are investing the right way, that are picking their spots. And, Doug Foley's one of those guys.
Yes.
Doug.
He ran very well this past weekend.
Really well. And he, we had him up on stage for Q&A, and he was kind of like, I probably have the funding to run every race and just squeak by. He goes, but I don't want to do that. He goes, I'm going to give maximum effort to the races I can run where we don't have to go skimp or run an extra, run a little bit longer, that he wants to, if it's 6 races, if it's 8 races, if it's 10 races, it'll be what it'll be. But when he comes, he's going to come ready to win. And that was really exciting to hear him say that. Yeah,
I'm excited to see what he does, because I think he has all the potential in the world to win races. They've gotten so much better, so much more consistent as well. And I'm excited for Josh Hart too. I think they finally got it right. They did an excellent job the problem with that car was repeatability, and they were able to make that thing repeat all weekend long in Bradenton. So I think they've finally got the gremlins out. I think Ron has got the MF between Ron Douglas back,
Yep.
and we're going to see them being in the final rounds a lot this year.
I think so too, and it's very encouraging to just see them come right out and run. 375, 375, then 374, then 372, 372, 372. Step is just kind of tweaking it to get a cool weather tune-up.
Yep.
Just throw down, but there's a lot more hot days than there are cold days.
Yeah.
And so if you can consistently run 372 or even quicker in the heat and top fuel dragster, you're going to win a lot of rounds, especially when you got the second best reaction time guy in the category.
Exactly. Yeah. Man, it's so much going on. So much going on. It's gonna be electric. Before I let you get out of here, had to send a personal text to my guy Ryan Elliott and that team, what they did. I met Sean Reed through Nicole Clark's way back when, thought that it was going to be the why does his name escape me now? Just because I'm thinking about it, and just because I'm thinking about it, it's gone. But that particular team was going to expand, and it never came to fruition. He never stopped chopping at the bit to Vandergrift team. They were supposed to expand. Josh Hart was supposed to be a part of that. Never really came to fruition. He stayed after it, and they showed at the end of the last year that they were finding it. I always thought and I felt that, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Vandergrift it is. And, I thought when they got Rob Wendland and they went and grabbed a guy that I believe he won't say it, but I believe is the next up-and-coming crew chief, has been for a while now, and Ryan Elliott, I knew that they were going to be just fine. He was in good hands, and they're showing that they've put in the work. They learned a lot from last year, and they're going to be tough, man. They're going to be tough because they were very consistent. They had their little lulls, but they were very consistent last year too.
And they were kind of the Cincinnati Bengals of the season last year. If the season would have been a couple more races long, I really think Sean Reed's first race would have been in the Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. They just kind of ran out of races when they finally had all their S together.
Yeah.
Came out and all their S's together. And, he's going to be a serious contender, picking up right where he left off. And that's another full-time car that's going to give, guys a run for their money. And, think about how crazy Top Fuel is going to be when we haven't even talked about the reigning Top Fuel champion, Antron Brown.
I know.
Or the Top Fuel champion from just 2 years ago, Doug Coletta.
Yeah.
Or Sean Langdon, or
another one.
That's Clay Milliken is a guy that won the U.S. Nationals. And
he sure did.
We also
forgot about him. It's insane.
So it's just, I think it's just going to be so exciting to see all these guys out here mixing it up.
Edith's going to be back. I
think the food challenges on Saturday are going to be ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
So I think you want to see these things live. You want to get to an NHRA national event and get your friends with you, because it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. Well, Elon, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Anytime.
And we'll be talking to you soon for sure.
Excellent. Thanks so much, DJ.
Elon Werner, everybody. Well, it is about 5 minutes to go. So what I'm going to do for you guys is we're going to have our quick segment of
what do we want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? I might even go over 10 minutes. Appreciate everybody commenting. And it's been, man, I'm just excited about what's ahead for this NHRA season. It's been a long time, but that Bradenton race really set the tone for everything. I meant to tell Elon before he left out of here that they need two other, people there on the mic. And, I'm pretty confident in myself, and I'm also confident in my guy, Monday Morning Racer. Two of us in the pits, roaming around, talking to guys, making it happen. That'll push the needle up a little bit. Yeah, I'm tooting my own horn because I believe in myself. Tape don't lie. Just saying. Royal Rumble comments. It was very good. Those of you who did not like Jey Uso winning, shame on you. Because it very much looked like it was going to be same old WWE, right? And it was going to be, John Cena winning that thing. I thought that was a good choice. He is on an upward trajectory and has proven himself as a singles wrestler. I thought, Charlotte coming back and winning was kind of predictable. Didn't really care for that. But overall, I think it was a good Royal Rumble. I don't like Logan Paul showing up at all. Hadn't seen him in forever. He shows up, and then now he's all involved in matches. I don't know. I don't care for that. It's not that I don't like the guy. I hate the fact that he's that good. I really do. But you got to give him credit. But thought it was a good show though. So, do you think Ron Capps meant to mention Matty Gordon today, or did it accidentally slip out? I know he's been, as I will use a quote from one of our family members at Seawall Sports and Entertainment. Seawall would say, use your clues. And the clues and the tea leaves have been hinting around this. And I think, Nicole, I talked about it with Monday Morning Racer as well. We kind of knew that she was the person, but we hadn't heard him say it yet. I think that it was a slight of a strategy. I think he kind of knew what he was saying, but I think he also was like, he was very comfortable, very candid, excited about the things going on in Ron Capps Motorsports, and it just came out. But I don't think he was shy. He hasn't been shy about hinting around that. I think it was kind of obvious for those of us who use your clues. I think it was pretty obvious that we already knew who it was. We were just waiting for him to say it, and now he said it. So, no, I'm not. I don't think it was. I think it was strategy a little bit, and it might have been accidental because he was like really comfortable. Because he said some other things too that, I don't know if he really meant to say that, but it's like, I've already said it, so I guess I got to just keep going with it, So, yeah, one of those things. You said thoughts on Torrance possibly backing out. If I hope that it's not the case, and I hope that it wouldn't be for health reasons. I dealing with a lot of people with health and things like that, people dealing with so much. I hope it is not for that. Sometimes, you've got a family and, he's got kid and, obviously they're at the track, but, this thing of racing is not easy, and they run a very, big business that I'm sure they're working all the time. We have people here that kind of do a similar thing with, dealing with different forms of, pipe fitting and redoing things as far as sewer, such, etc. In that business, I'm sure it is nonstop. So, I think he's going to be there. At least some of the hinting has been that he will be there. We'll just have to wait and see. I've heard Brian Loans hint around that's still a possibility. So I guess we're all just going to have to wait and see what happens. If they show up at testing at Gainesville, then I guess it's on. Right? Dave says, how about the fact that Jeg raced all these years before hitting the wall? It wasn't that shocking, but it seemed like he was just in an awkward. He was in a. I don't know. I know he wanted to win that race, and I don't think we've ever seen Jeg pedal as much as he did, and that thing was way out of shape. It was wild to actually see that happen for his first time in his career ever. He hits the wall. What good thing it wasn't that hard. It looked worse than it actually was as far as the car, is concerned. But yeah, that was very wild for him to hit the wall in that way after all this time. He's such a, heads up driver. Pretty much tells you how much he wanted to win that money, right? How much he wanted to win that money. Tape doesn't lie when it's edited. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Blake says he has a question. How long have you been a media person for NHRA? Well, it started back in about, I think it's 2014, 2015. I've been in the sports media business. I started my own show after my dad died in 2012. My good buddy gave me the idea and told me I should do that. It was something to give me purpose at a time that was difficult and really changed my life as far as my mental health and everything. And one day I'll tell that story. But I covered the Commanders first. I was able to move over and be within a year. I don't have any degree in this. I learned, and I really, as a fan, I was always, I looked at it from an objective point of view and looked at football as an objective point of view. And I was given a shot by Sports Journey, my big brother now, Lake Lewis Jr., and I started covering the Commanders. I got a job in, believe it or not, a site called about.com used to have sports. And I was the content creator and owner for the New Orleans Saints. I covered the New Orleans Saints for 2 years. Went back to covering the Commanders, got with USA Today Sports Media Group. And then we decided to just build our own brand. And I've been doing it ever since. Cover pretty much the entire NFL. I do focus on the NFC South now, and I still cover the Washington Commanders as well. But I've been doing it since 2012, NHRA since 2015. And I got it. I got the opportunity because I always tweeted about the NHRA because I've been loving this sport since I was in first grade. My uncle took me to my first race in Reading at Maple Grove Raceway. And he said that once I saw it, I'd be hooked, and he wasn't lying. I was hooked for life. And Guide and Scott, I can't think of his last name now, but he if you know Josh, he did pretty much his job, Josh and Allie Bland, my cousin, job. And he reached out to me on Twitter and asked me how close I was to Gainesville. And I've been going to Gainesville ever since. I got to meet some great people. My good friend, Nicole, a lot of great people I've been able to meet. I've really been blessed I never thought I'd be doing this and be on the other side of the rope, so to speak, and be able to bring this kind of content to people and have the relationships that I have within the NHRA. It's been fun, man. It's been a lot of fun. And I kind of call it my retirement plan. I work 2 jobs. I will always work 2 jobs because, it comes natural to me. I'm not a guy who has TV shows. I watch sports. That's what I like to do. So, it's been fun, man. And I'm glad that I've been able to meet the people that I've been able to meet and been able to bring, some good stuff to you guys. Let's see here. Got some more questions. Saw on Facebook that Julie Nate is sitting in a funny car. Yeah, I know, right? Anything's possible. I think she can drive it. That's for sure. Oh, this is a good one. No, I thought that was the Bartone thing. I'll show you guys that. Any word from Salinas didn't race in Bradenton? Yeah, I'm not sure. Haven't heard anything there. Not really sure what they're going to do. Maybe they're keeping it close to the vest. Did any of you guys see this? Monday Morning Racer did a good piece on it on his website. Did you guys see this? The nitro injected funny car by the Bartone brothers. They tested that thing, ran a 5:28.8, which is a record, I believe, in top alcohol funny car, and 283.49 miles an hour. I was listening to Brian Loans in his podcast. I try to support those guys over there. Tony Pedregon was like, he should have shut it off. They're going to add weight. They probably are going to add weight. I think they should wait, see how it all pans out. You know what I mean? But if they can consistently dial that up in testing, then I guess you have to do something. You want it to be competitive. It'll be interesting to see who else brings out those nitro injected cars. It'll be very interesting to see that. I'm really interested in that. Let's see. Can I just say that the downtime at the pro race was excessive? Somehow they made a third race take longer than three round race take longer than a 4-round race. I agree, and see that's where a guy like me and myself and Monday Morning Racer come in. I think there's some extra things you can do within the pit area that creates some type of good content, live content while that downtime is going on. And I think people have to realize too, at an NHRA event, they have a plethora of classes there to take up that time. As those other classes, the top sportsman classes that they had there dwindled down, now you don't have that many cars running in between the time that the pros are, getting their cars ready to come back out. I could have done some more recent content instead of playing the old content from last year. If you didn't see it last year, then it was new to you, but to most of us who saw it last year, it was not new to us. So they could have done a better job there, but I do agree. It was a lot of downtime. And I think that's an area that, we can do better at. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it, man. I really do. I'm all about telling the truth, nothing but the truth. And I don't care about hurting people's feelings. People don't respect people who kiss butt cheeks, and I'm not one of them. If you're doing well, I don't have no problem, giving you your flowers. But if you're out there stinking up the joint, I'm going to give you knowledgeable reasons why you're stinking up the joint. I try to do my best to study and watch sport enough to know what I'm talking about, because I don't want to look like an ass in the process. One of the best cameramen in the business, my cameraman, the Fred Warner, the real Fred Warner. I don't know who that 49ers guy is, but the real Fred Warner. Yep. He's kept me level-headed at times when my anxiety is out of this world. But through the years, I've gotten better with that. So, yeah, love my camera guy. He is the best. I know you think your camera guy is, but whatever. I said what I said. Drag Race fan says the alcohol funny car class is over. Give it to Sean. But man, that type of domination will run teams away, especially at the level and how much they get paid. I agree with you. I do think, though, as long as they can keep their car competitive, I do think more people will dive into the nitro injected side of things. And I think that, I heard what Tony Pedregon was saying, and he was kind of poo-pooing on the fact that people were saying that the alcohol class would die, and again, use your clues. We'll see how this is handled and what the NHRA does involving this particular class, and how they either put it to the forefront and try to showcase it more, or what are we going to see here? People have parked cars. And my thing is, if you want it to be a nitro injected class, and if that's the alleged word that come out, just act the class, say you're not doing alcohol anymore, and do it. I do think that if they can have balance and these cars can be not dominant over the alcohol cars, we'll see a good class. I think there's some people that really want to run the nitro injected. And you look at it in the dragster ranks, there's not a lot of nitro injected dragsters over there. So I do think there's room to be able to grow both funny car and the top alcohol funny dragsters. So hopefully that is the case, because I think that's what they're trying to do here. So we'll see. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great show. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. And you can catch me over at the Power Hour here at 9 o'clock. We're going to have Corey Reed and I forget our other guest. But we'll be over there talking drag racing as usual. Again, thank you so much for watching the show, for everything Nitro, for sportsjourney.com, and of course for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza that powers us. Thank you so much. It's a blessing to be able to do this with you guys. Thanks for your support. And until next week, y'all have a good one. Good night, everybody.